Good evening. I've got some good news. This news is so good it actually makes me feel younger. And I know you might be wondering, well, what the hell kind of good news is that? Well, I'm going to tell you. So, remember how for many years, if you're, at least, above 40 or so, you refer a lot to the good old days? Well, now we don't have to refer back 30 years. we can talk maybe about like last week even, or, much younger. I feel much younger that way. Now I don't have to think about like 30 years ago when I think of good old days. Anyway, I couldn't resist cracking that one. Crazy. Wow. I mean, just across the board crazy, the news today. Man, there was a lot of what I like to call, what I refer to as movement in different areas today. Leo, hey, dude, what do you mean how long did those flight sim updates take? What are you talking about, sir? You see that up there? Yeah. We are still doing updates. We will be doing updates for probably a couple of more hours. That's the way Flight Sim is. Yeah. So yeah, I was involved in the beta for the Flight Sim, and I did that because supposedly the aircraft that I love so much worked okay in the beta, but some people had issues with the older version. So I upgraded to the beta, and so things actually, to be honest, went swimmingly well. Still had some issue with the aircraft, but it worked itself out, and it was fine. Well, the only issue is when you're in the beta, the only people you can see in multiplayer are other people in the beta. And that makes it real boring flying around by yourself. So I got the bright idea this morning. I was going to uninstall the beta. And so I uninstalled it. And I may have been fine with that. I'm not sure. But I also happened to find a conversation in a forum that was leading to the exact place where these temporary files were stored, which was one of the things that could have been causing my issue with that aircraft. So I got to thinking, well, if this folder is just full of temporary files, I'll just delete everything in the folder, and it'll rebuild those files as it loads in the aircraft, because supposedly that's what it was. That's what it was all about. It was a cache. Temporary cache for different installations, mods they call it. Well, I don't know which one of the two. I don't know if it was unstalling the beta or deleting everything in that folder when I only really needed to delete one folder. It wouldn't boot. It crashed to the desktop. So I'm like, well, I know what I'm doing. So I completely uninstalled it and started to reinstall it this morning. And I'm still installing it. It's the program is I know it's over 100 gigabytes unpacked. I don't know for sure exactly. Probably with all my extra aircraft and stuff like that I'll put in there, probably close to 175 to 200 gigabytes in size. This one software program. So yeah, it's kind of insane. But you got to have a lot of coding to be able to do what you see me do when I make videos of me flying and stuff. So, anyway, this morning, it's crazy. So, I've got 17, just this download here, I've got 17.33 gigabytes out of 49.64 gigabytes total that it's working on now. So, it's going to be a little bit. And then there's more updates after this. This ain't it. Ain't it? So anyway, like I said, news is just insane today. Pretty much across the board. You quit it. God, she's over there cleaning her paws like very loudly. Let's see how many I got. I guess I got like 7 tabs open to discuss, and just insanity. I mean, just within the title of the show itself, to me, that's pretty insane. But it gets really insane. Let me go ahead and bring you on over. FBI manipulating domestic terror stats, says whistleblowers. This is insane. FBI is instructing its agents to reclassify cases as domestic violent extremism, Republican Representative Jim Jordan has claimed. Citing agency whistleblowers, Jordan argued that the FBI may be inflating the statistics to satisfy the Biden administration's crackdown on the supposed threat of homegrown terror. Nah, they wouldn't do something like that. From recent protected disclosures, we have learned that FBI officials are pressuring agents to reclassify cases as domestic violent extremism, even if the cases do not meet the criteria for such a classification, Jordan wrote in a letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray on Wednesday. Given the narrative pushed by the Biden administration that domestic violent extremism is the greatest threat facing our country, the revelation that the FBI may be artificially padding domestic terrorism data is scandalous, Jordan continued. In these days after he took office in January 2021, Biden repeatedly talked up the threat of domestic terrorism in the U.S., describing the pro-Trump riot on Capitol Hill earlier that month as a prime example of this threat. He followed this rhetoric with a domestic terrorism strategy that increased funding to the Department of Homeland Security and Justice Department, while the former agency issued a memo classifying a broad range of dissidents and criminals, from racial extremists to animal rights activists and all others with personal grievances and beliefs with political bias, as domestic violent extremists. Now, hold up. There is a very important point. God, I need a pop filter. There's a very important point that I need to make here. So, I just want to remind everybody that Biden was Mr. Defund the Police. Remember that? Biden was Mr. Defund the Police, as well as Camel Toe. They were all defund the police. That's what they said. That was the words coming out of their mouth. But what were their actions? Now, they may have not put a lot into like local municipality or anything like that, but when it comes to the government, their law enforcement, so to speak, yeah, anything and everything they wanted. And this is insane. Now, everybody, is going to automatically think, well, yeah, but, okay, 2024 comes around, we'll get him out of there, we'll get somebody good in there, everything will be okay. No, it won't. Because whoever gets in there won't pull any of this back. They'll say they will. Did Trump not say that he was going to drain the swamp? Did he drain the swamp? Not even a frickin' little bit. 2 years. 2 years they had complete control. The administration, the House, and the Senate. Nada. And now I hear people with that rhetoric again. Okay, well, we're going to have a red wave come midterm. And very likely so. I'm not disagreeing with that. But what I will disagree with is that any damn thing will be done just because red team gets back in all 3 spots. Because that isn't how it works. It's a game. And we're the pawns. This is how they do it. And they get half of the American people to cheer them on as they do it. Back and forth. Just that pendulum, back and forth. And it keeps swinging further and further. Tell you what, it's about to reach that point to where it hits an apogee and falls back on itself. Not going to be pretty when it does. Over across the pond, you've got a German city banning hot water in public buildings. Things are getting serious over there, and I'm telling you, they haven't even started to see the problems yet. Because even if it is only 20% through Nord Stream 1, it's still 20%. What happens when that's zero? I don't think, and I could be totally wrong, and I'll accept that if I am, I don't think that the United States, or even a combination of nations, have enough ships for the United States to be able to supply much of the EU and the UK. I don't think there's enough ships that exist, and I could be wrong. I might be totally wrong on that. But when I'm thinking of a nation of people and industry, it's hard for me to believe that we can ferry LNG back and forth, to them quick enough to be able to keep their nation going on a normal level. Their industries are already talking about having to shut down. I think it's going to get ugly over there for them folks. I know somebody... Hang on. Let me pull her profile. I'm not going to blast her out there. But she had made a post earlier. And I'm going to read you. She's from over across the pond. I don't know what Blue sees, but it's something. Something. You keep us safe, girl. Tear them up. Don't let them get us. I have no idea what she sees. Anyway, I'm going to read you the excerpt that's at the bottom first, and then I'm going to read you the quote. A day after households were warned average annual energy bills could hit 3,850 pounds from January, triple the level at the beginning of this year, Shell and Centrica sparked outrage by announcing huge windfalls. Shell posted record earnings of $11.4 billion, nearly $10 billion, $11.4 billion, nearly 10 billion pounds for the 3-month period from April to June, and promised to give shareholders payouts worth 6.5 billion pounds. Okay? Now the quote from Shell's chief executive, Ben Van Beurden, "It is what it is." That is his quote. It is what it is. Insane. With the way that these companies, these corporations and stuff are acting, and they're the same right here in the good old US of A, you can damn well bet that civil unrest is right around the corner. And I'm not talking about the typical run-of-the-mill civil unrest. No. I'm not even talking about the Antifa unrest. I'm talking about the hungry, the homeless unrest. That's quite a different form of unrest. It is much closer to what you see with the Antifa unrest, except the targets are typically different. Man, I'm telling you, I'm starting to foresee some pretty crazy times ahead, because let me remind you that the entire time we were talking about LNG and shipping it over there to help keep them afloat, well, let's not forget the entire time that we're doing that, you're helping pay for it. You're helping pay for it. You don't think you'll help pay to ferry that LNG over there? You already are right now. That's why the prices are going up. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely nuts. Anyway, let me continue on with this. I barely even really got into it. I don't even know where the hell I did get into it. Hanover authorities gave the city's sports enthusiasts the cold shower, quite literally, on Monday when they announced hot water would be switched off in all of the city's public buildings, including sports halls, gyms, and pools from now on. Public employees will also have to wash their hands with cold water while at work under new regulations. The city's residents will also have to brace for colder temperatures while indoors. Under the new rules, the maximum room temperature in public buildings, including daycare centers, is limited to 20 degrees Celsius. Now, I will have to look that up. 20 Cel would be 68 degrees. 68 degrees. So, Fahrenheit, of course. Let's see. In sports halls and gyms, it cannot exceed 15 degrees Celsius. Holy moly. Let me, hang on. I could have just did this and I would have popped it right up. Hey, look, 59. Are you kidding me? You people are insane. The upcoming winter heating period for municipal buildings has also been set for between October 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. Outside of the period, heating is generally no longer provided, the authorities warned. Other measures include shutting down public fountains and external lights for the town hall, city museums, and other public buildings. That's going to do great for crime, isn't it? The measures were taken as the city launched a campaign to reduce energy consumption by 15% to prepare for potential supply bottlenecks in winter. The city authorities said they wanted to prepare in advance instead of just reacting to a situation when there was no longer enough gas for everyone. We have to get ahead of the situation, the city's finance and regulatory affairs officer Axel von der O said. Meanwhile, Mayor of Hanover, Belit One, told journalists on Wednesday that every kilowatt hour saved protects the gas storage facilities. Hanover is not the only German city to take some protective measures ahead of winter. The city of Dusseldorf plans to reduce heating temperatures for autumn and winter to save energy, according to the German tabloid Bild. So, again, I think this stuff is just starting. These announcements and stuff are just starting. It's going to get much worse, and it's all going to come right here to the United States, too. I am a firm believer of it. It's not, I don't think here in the United States, and I could be wrong, I don't think here in the United States we necessarily face so much of a shortage issue. I think we're going to have basically a demand. You know what I mean? It's going to be an increased demand because we're going to be trying to fuel the EU and UK and probably Ukraine on top of that. I mean, you already know they're asking for gas. That's what they already told us. They're expecting free gas. Not just gas, they want free gas. Yeah, we get to pay for that too. In its entirety. So I'm saying we're going to be in these same shoes come this winter. Not looking good. Still getting, at least this could keep us a little warm here. Play with fire, get burned. China warns the U.S. This stuff is definitely heating up. Says here Taiwan is part of China, and the 1.4 billion Chinese will not tolerate any challenges to the country's national sovereignty and territorial integrity, President Xi Jinping told his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden in a phone call on Thursday. Now, I'm pretty sure he didn't stutter. I'm pretty sure he didn't mince words, nor did he fall off his bicycle. He was pretty clear with what he said. Xi's warning comes amid reports that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is preparing to visit the island next month, something Beijing has warned her against. Xi highlighted the historical ins and outs of the Taiwan question are crystal clear, and so are the fact and status quo that both sides of the Taiwan Strait belong to one and the same China, according to Beijing's readout of Thursday's call, also noting that Biden was the one who initiated it. China is firmly opposed to Taiwanese separatism and will not tolerate independence for the island in whatever form, Xi told Biden, in the first direct call between the two leaders since March 18. According to the readout, Xi also told Biden that the U.S. approach to China as the primary rival, strategic competitor, and a security challenge would be misperceiving China-U.S. relations and misreading China's development, adding that U.S. attempts at decoupling or severing supply chains in defiance of underlying laws would not help its economy, but only make the world economy more vulnerable. China and the U.S. need to uphold the international system centering on the UN and the international order underpinned by international law, said Xi, who also reiterated China's principled position on the crisis in Ukraine. The much shorter White House readout of the call did not mention Ukraine or the specific economic discussions, instead singling out the issues of climate change and health security. Go figure that, huh? It did, however, say that the call was part of the Biden administration's efforts to maintain and deepen lines of communication between the United States and the PRC and responsibly manage our differences and work together where our interests align. Well, Biden didn't say that because he couldn't have gotten half that sentence. When it comes to Taiwan, Biden underscored that the U.S. policy has not changed and that the U.S. strongly opposes unilateral efforts to change the status quo or undermine peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, according to the White House. So, again, it's not doing any better there. But, you know, hell, that's just one nation. See what another nation's up to. Oh, North Korea issues nuclear warning. DPRK leader Kim Jong-un announced on Thursday that Pyongyang's nuclear war deterrent was fully ready to respond to threats. Such saber-rattling is nothing new from Kim, but it does come after a slew of artillery and missile tests. In a speech marking the 69th anniversary of the armistice that halted the 1950-1953 Korean War, Kim accused South Korea of pursuing suicidal confrontation against North Korea in a bid to deepen ties with the U.S. imperialists, according to a transcript from the Korean Central News Agency. Our armed forces are now fully prepared to cope with any sort of crisis, and our state's nuclear war deterrent is also fully ready to demonstrate its absolute power accurately and promptly, true to its mission, Kim declared. The North Korean leader also accused Washington and Seoul of planning on stationing nuclear missiles in the South Korea, while South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol said last year that he would ask the U.S. to deploy tactical nukes in his country. The Biden administration has ruled out the idea for now. North Korea is estimated to have between 40 and 50 nuclear warheads with the capability of producing 6 or 7 more every year, according to Arms Control Association. Pardon me. The U.S. officially removed its nuclear weapons from South Korea in 1991. So I want you to think about something. They have the capability of producing 6 or 7 more every year. So, oh hell. Let's say they got the full 50. And they can do 6. So that's at least 8+ years right there. And how long have they been telling you? I'm not talking about North Korea. I'm talking about the United States. How long have they been telling you that North Korea had nuclear weapons? And how long does this prove that North Korea has had nuclear weapons? How long have I been saying? Probably about 10 years. Probably close to about 10 years I've been saying that North Korea already had nukes. Just saying. Successive members of the Kim family have threatened for decades to step up development or deployment of these weapons in order to demand relief from international sanctions or to get Western powers to the negotiating table. This scenario played out during the tenure of U.S. President Donald Trump, with Kim and Trump threatening each other with nuclear annihilation throughout 2017, before meeting in person for 2 historic summits in 2018 and 2019. You know, if there was any chance at getting Kim Jong-un to sit down at the table, and I'm sorry, I think you should, give that a shot regardless. I think you should give sitting down at the table and talking to somebody a shot over war. What the hell is the problem with that? And that's exactly what Trump was trying to do. And, I'm not a Trump fan. You guys know that very well. Out of everything that Trump did, it's a close run between that and his right to try legislation. However, in hindsight, that right to try legislation came in some awful interesting timing, did it not? So, I think that needs to be pointed out. It says here, while Trump's overtures to Kim failed to achieve his goal of denuclearization on the Korean peninsula, they claimed the nuclear threats from Pyongyang for the remainder of his term in office. However, the North Korean military has stepped up its activity in recent months. Well, yeah, the moment that Biden got in office, it all started back again, because they know. I mean, I don't think North Korea is in on this one world thing, okay? And so I think, because I'm going to be honest, I really do think that Trump is in on the one world thing. I'm sorry, that's how I feel. I don't think he's any. I think he's one of them. I think they played the Trump card. They put it right in people's face. They literally put it that in your face. They played the Trump card. And I think Kim Jong-un was fooled too. I really do. And I think that is why Kim Jong-un gave Trump an opportunity, to sit down with him. But, and I think maybe Kim Jong-un might have fell for it. For the entirety of Trump's, well, not the entirety, because there was some issues starting to mount towards the end of Trump's term. Things weren't as well as they were when he went there for a visit, that's for sure. So, anyway, well, that's North Korea, right? North Korea, a little country. Iran announces new step in nuclear program. Iran will build a new domestically made nuclear research reactor near the city of Isfahan. I'm not sure how that'd be pronounced. The country's vice president and head of the National Atomic Energy Organization, Mohammad Islami, said on Wednesday. We are planning to officially start construction on a research reactor at the Isfahan nuclear site in the coming weeks, Islami told reporters during a visit to the facility's uranium conversion facility. Built in the 1980s, the Isfahan Nuclear Technology Center in central Iran is the country's largest nuclear research facility. In addition to being home of the UFC, it reportedly houses several Chinese-made research reactors, a fuel production plant, and other essential nuclear infrastructure. According to Islami, the entirely domestic construction project will help Iran eventually gain access to the full nuclear energy production chain, which the country needs, since the few nations that do possess this are unwilling to cooperate with Tehran. On June 25th, Islami announced that Iran had started building its first homegrown nuclear plant. The country currently has one operating nuclear power reactor, Bushehr Nuclear Power Plant, which was started back in the 1970s by German companies but finished only in 2010s by Russia. Iran has been gradually ramping up its nuclear program since former U.S. President Donald Trump's 2018 decision to unilaterally withdraw from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, signed in 2015 by Tehran and a group of 6 nations, the United States, UK, Germany, France, Russia, and China. The JCPOA, also known as the Iran Deal, saw the Islamic Republic agree to significantly curb its nuclear ambitions in exchange for sanctions relief. However, after the U.S. withdrew from the deal and immediately reimposed its previous sanctions and later even introduced some new measures against Iran, Tehran began suspending compliance with parts of the JCPOA, including limits to uranium enrichment. So, and they have been enriching it a lot more and a lot more. They've been doing a lot of it. What am I hearing? Ah, okay. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, so you can expect that. I guess maybe we ought to talk a little bit about the United States, at least for one headline. After a sip of coffee and a vape. Oh, fun times. We had a monsoon here again today. It was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I don't think they had quite the flooding issues that they did the other day, but alright, next. U.S. Capitol requests National Guard. Well, why, would you say, are they requesting the National Guard? Well, I'm going to tell you. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser appealed to the Pentagon and the White House for National Guard aid to deal with thousands of illegal migrants being bussed in from Texas and Arizona, but did not receive a response, a local outlet reported on Thursday. You made the bed, lie in it? Yeah. Let's see. Bowser complained that Capitol resources were overwhelmed by the arrivals. You don't say. Bowser first asked for National Guard assistance on July 19th in a letter to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. The second letter was dated July 22nd and addressed to the White House, according to NBC affiliate WRC-TV, which posted the text of both. The mayor has yet to receive a response to either letter, according to the station. In the first letter, Bowser notes that Arizona Governor Doug Ducey and Texas Governor Greg Abbott followed through with their threat to start sending migrants caught crossing the U.S. border illegally to the nation's capital, pointing out that over 4,000 migrants had arrived in the district as of mid-July. Bowser complained that the pace of arriving buses and the volume of arrivals have reached tipping points. Our collective response and service efforts have now become overwhelmed. The Regional Welcome Center we helped establish in Montgomery County, Maryland is at capacity. or homeless services system is already under great strain, and tragically many families arrive in Washington, D.C. with nowhere to go, or they remain in limbo seeking onward destinations across the United States, she wrote. Bowser's office asked for 150 D.C. National Guard personnel per day, utilizing shift schedules to cover a 24/7 operation, as well as transportation to shuttle migrants to the D.C. Armory or another suitable federal location in the National Capital Region, such as Fort McNair or Joint Base Bowling. Their mission would begin as soon as possible and continue indefinitely until the city relieves them. The governors of Texas and Arizona are making a political statement to the federal government, and instead their actions are having direct impacts on city and regional resources in ways that are unsustainable, the mayor added. Well, what in the hell do you think the whole point those governors are trying to make to you are? Because those people that are straining your resources right now were straining their, Arizona and Texas resources. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? What's good for the border states is good for the D.C. hacks that put them in that position. There we go. Let's start a new one. Absolutely insane. Anyway, so that's what's happening. I imagine that crime is probably, crime's already through the roof in D.C., what are we talking about? But it's going to get even worse. How much you want to bet it gets? It's already, from my understanding, a pretty nasty, violent place. It's about to get much worse. Especially when all these shortages really take hold. Then things are going to get real interesting. All across the nation, but especially where all those folks are. And this is the last tab I've got open. And I keep saying, man, I am one heck of an eye for an eye guy. And I'm telling you, if we want to stop the insanity, let me read you this and I'll tell you my thoughts. Murder could be hanged on live TV. A court in Egypt has called for the live TV hanging of a convicted murderer, arguing that it could help deter other would-be killers, according to letters to Parliament quoted by local media on Sunday. During a highly publicized two-day trial earlier this month, 21-year-old Mohammed Adel was convicted for killing fellow student Naira Ashraf outside Mansoura University in northern Egypt in late June. It was reported that Adele stalked the girl for some time, and when she refused to marry him, he devised a gruesome plot to kill her. According to video footage of the incident, which went viral on social media and sparked outrage across the country, Adele repeatedly stabbed Ashraf as she got off a bus near the university, jumped on her, and slit her throat in front of a number of horrified onlookers. Adele pleaded guilty to the murder and was sentenced to death on July 6. However, due to the heinous nature of the murder, the court now wants to make an example out of Adele and has asked the government to allow a live national TV broadcast of the execution. Now, this even happened here in the United States. Maybe some people don't remember. I'm sure many do. And it happened right here in the United States with Saddam Hussein. At least they claim so. And the reason that they did it was different. The reason the United States hung Saddam Hussein, quote unquote, on live TV was not to make an example of him. Who are they going to... Okay, what true terrorist over there in the Middle East is going to be deterred by Saddam Hussein being hung on live national TV in the United... Not a damn one of them. They don't... I mean, I'm not saying they don't care. They lost one of their leaders, but that's not going to stop them. That's going to get them to go for it, right? I mean, so you got to understand, when the United States did that with Saddam Hussein, it was merely a show for you. They were trying to show you how all your tax dollars and all the blood spilt over there in the desert was yielding results. And that is why they hung him on live national TV. Now back to my point, I think they need to take these folks like, the guy that did the 4th of July shooting and all these types of idiots. And what I think they need to do, and I've said it before, I think they need to take them to the town square of the town that they just ripped apart. They need to tie them to a pole or something, and they need to walk away and let the townspeople deal with it. Starting with the families that were immediately impacted. And those that don't want to take a part, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to show up, but it needs to be on national TV. And again, those that don't want to take part, don't be there. Don't turn that on TV. But I guarantee that you do that, and it's going to be much less appealing for these whack jobs. The motivations are different. The motivations are completely different. The reason why a terrorist does what a terrorist does is nothing near the same reason that we have like mass shooters. Not even remotely. Not even remotely. One of them largely centers around mental illness. And another one, the other one, and I know a lot of people will say, well, yeah, but it's mentally ill to put on a, vest with a bunch of explosives on it and go blow yourself. Well, yeah, in my opinion, it would be. I understand where you're coming from, but it isn't mental illness motivating and driving that. It's religion. Difference. I mean, same result. It creates whack jobs, but one of them is more of a natural type of mental illness, and the other one's induced by religion. So, anywho, crazy. Absolutely nuts. Let me have a sip of coffee. We'll do some headlines, and I am still waiting on about 19 gigabytes worth of download for this round of updates, and then I've got another round of updates. All day to install one software program. And it's not because of slow internet, and it's not because of a slow computer. It's just that big damn of a program. It's impressive. It truly is impressive. That software blows my mind every time I open it. I can't wait, because I'm starting out with a fresh install. Means things are going to be smooth as butter. You're probably going to see me live flying tomorrow morning. Don't be shocked if you do. I'm going to switch batteries real quick. Only run them down halfway. Alrighty. Got some headlines. Alright. All of them I put out, well, I would say this morning, but that was a lie. I was kind of late on getting them out. Anyway, U.S. leading world in monkeypox cases. Go figure. Does that mean... What does that say for our country? If we're leading the world in monkeypox cases, what does that say about our nation, considering how it's being spread? Huh. Crazy. I have no idea how or why this would be the new Babylon. Iraqi protesters storm parliament. Europe's largest car maker leaving Russia, says media. Cheeseburger, hell no, not the cheeseburger. Cheeseburger falls victim to cost of living crisis. That's right. I think it's McDonald's cheeseburgers are going to go up. That's not here yet. They won't tell you about it when they do it here. They'll just do it. This is in the UK. So, the first time in more than 14 years, they're going to have to pay more for a chemical platter. Let's see. Ukraine bombards Donetsk with landmines, says mayor. Well, that wasn't very nice. Sanctions on Russia could leave Britain without fish and chips. Oh, that is when the unrest is really going to hit the fan. Don't screw with their fish and chips. America's new third party emerges. It's not a good one. It's the Forward Party. Ready to take us backward. New York urges the WHO to immediately rename monkeypox, because apparently that's racist. Hey, I'm just reading the news, man. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Brits receive energy price warning. Horror chart suggests Germany on brink of huge energy crisis. You think? You need a chart? London warns of sleepwalking into war with China. Which I think is what's happening, because Biden's the one leading. Pretty much sleepwalking. EU wine harvest under threat, says Bloomberg. Austria, oh, by the way, another point of civil disobedience. When they lose their wine, all hell's gonna break loose. Austria warns of citizens fighting in Ukraine. Russia finds U.S.-based online dating service. Hey, just leave the whatever they call that. Mail-order brides. That's what they are. Mail-order brides. Leave those alone. I'm kidding. U.S. makes aggressive move to tackle inflation. Cow dung gas can't replace Russian fossil fuel, an expert says. I never thought that. I always thought that the cow dung was going to save us. Actually, in all reality, there's actually, I don't know if they still do it, but I know they at least were doing it. There's a farm not far away from here that was actually using manure, and they were capturing the methane off of the manure and actually using that, I believe, to run generators and stuff like that to run the farm. Probably about, 5 minutes out of town is where this place is. I don't know if they're still doing it, but I know they were at one time. There was like a big, you go out there, there's like this big tube-looking kind of thing, and that's what it's the methane. So, kind of cool. Warsaw malls cutting down on Christmas lights. Russia responds to hype over U.S. prisoner swap offer. Zelensky's Vogue photo shoot raises eyebrows. I talked about this yesterday. Kremlin comments on claims about Russian military casualties. EU ban on Russian gas is impossible, says Austria. You think? Iran announces... I covered that one. Biden met with 14 of his son's business associates, says media. Wait a minute. That's too confusing. The big guy met with 14 of his son's business associates. Now we know what I'm talking about. The big guy. EU's Borrell has no chance against Lavrov, says Moscow. Oh yeah, they're going to do a cage match? That would be cool. Put that on pay-per-view. Might be able to pay for some gas. UK's only children's gender clinic is ordered to close. EU heading for war economy, says Orban. I would agree. So is the US and about every other nation. U.S. lawmakers want Russia labeled as sponsor of terrorism. Well, yeah, but U.S. lawmakers also wanted parents of kids that wanted to, have a say in what they're being taught as terrorists as well. So, Germans face steep increase in gas bills, says media. Let's see. Last defendants in George Floyd case get prison terms. Let's see. Covered those. Trump speaks about 9/11 at Saudi-sponsored golf event. The one that people were trying to get him to not do, but because he was going to make a bunch of money at it or for it, he did it anyway. Yeah, that one. Russia says U.S. call request will be met when time allows. And Ukrainian MPs approve special status for Poles, like stripper Poles or Polish people. Okay, that's racist. Anyway, yeah, that's news. Believe it or not. And thankfully, it's Thursday. So that's my Friday. So, like I said, I would expect to probably see me pop on at some point tomorrow morning, doing some flying around live just for the hell of it. I might pick a different place. I don't know. I might even go to San Francisco or something. Don't worry, I'll fly high enough that we won't see the poop on the street. But, anyway, I'm sure they probably didn't model that in the flight simulator anyway. I don't know. Might do some Alaska. Oh, I did. I've been watching this documentary at night when I go to bed, because that's what I do, because I fall asleep that way. And so this documentary is about a treasure hunt that's up in the Aleutian Islands. Adak Island is the actual place, and supposedly a pirate had buried a ton of gold up there, and there's already been some gold found, and I'm pretty sure it's a pretty confirmed thing that this happened. And anyway, they're trying to find the gold, right? Because this place Adak Island used to have military bases and stuff like that. And it used to be kind of a hop and swinging thing. And I think it was 1997 they closed it down, something like that. And so there's still a town there, but there's nothing there. So, the town's dying. There's just nothing there. There's people living there, but it's not like there's... The only industry is industry that supports the town on the island. You know what I mean? It's not they're not very sustainable at the moment. And so the mayor invited treasure hunters to try to help find this, and because the deal is everybody gets cut, the town gets the majority of it, the large majority of it, and everybody walks away happy. Well, that's the reality show anyway. But I went and flew around Adak Island this morning, and it was kind of cool. What will happen to the L.A. police that smothered that blind homeless guy? I don't know. How long ago did this happen? I believe I'm unaware of this. Pretty sure. When did this happen? L.A. police Okay, I'm pulling up 2016. I'm sure you're talking about something. I'll just put instead of smother, kill. Just seen it yesterday. Jury awards $2 million to a family man shot and killed by, family of homeless man shot dead by Tustin police sues. LA approves homeless man in wheelchair shot. Let me do this. Hang on. Tools. Anytime. Let's say past week. Canada. Here's a man that was shot by somebody else. Doesn't say it was officer involved. I'm not seeing anything. Hang on. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything, so I don't know. I'll keep my eyes out on it. I'm sure it'll roll my way. If it happened recently, within the next day or two, it'll come past my way, I'm sure. So, but I'm usually pretty good at being able to pull stuff up, and I am not seeing anything. So, I will keep my eyes open though, for sure. Anyway, I am gonna get out of here and get ready to kick this thing into the last round of updates. At least I hope. And God willing, not only I'll see you Sunday, but maybe even tomorrow for a live flight or something. So, anyway, I am going to get out of here. I hope you all have a good evening and a good weekend. I hope to see you either tomorrow or Sunday or when I see you next. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.